If you're thinking about buying an RX-8 and know nothing about them, you came to the right video. In this video, you're going to learn everything you need to know about the Mazda RX-8. I'm Peter from Japan to Tuning, and this is the ultimate guide to the Mazda RX-8. We're going to go through everything from the history to the design to maintenance and best first mods. So first is the history and the design. The RX-8 was originally designed by Iku Maeda, the son of the lead designer of the RX-7, and the RX-8 started for sale in 2003. The RX-8 went out of production in 2011, with the 2012 model being the last one produced. So this car was made with a four-door design that's really sleek, and the design is the suicide door, which is the one door that opens up like this, and then the other door which opens up the other direction. And it gives you the convenience of the four-door design, but when closed, it gives you a sleek design like it's a two-door coupe. So this car is front engine and rear-wheel drive, which gives it a great ability to drift. The 50-50 weight distribution means that the engine and transmission in the front balance out the differential and the axles in the back, and it gives you a very good handling chassis. So what's special about this car is the engine. It's a 1.3 liter rotary engine producing 232 horsepower. So what's special about this engine, if you don't know engines very well, it's 1.3 liter, which is very small, and 232 brake horsepower is a lot of power coming from this engine. It only has 159 pound-feet of torque though, so if you don't know exactly what that means, it's pretty much that this car is not very fast in a straight line, but it doesn't really need to be because of its superior handling. Another special thing about this engine is it redlines at 9,000 RPM. Most cars around on the road you'll see, most performance cars anyways, will only redline at about 7,000 RPM. So you got those 2,000 more RPM. So this Wankel engine was created by Felix Wankel in 1929, and it's pretty much a German engine in a Japanese car. What a great combination. So the rotary engine found in the RX-8 is the 13B MSP, which is different than the one found in the RX-7 with lower compression. That's the 13B REW. So the next thing about this car is the gas mileage, and it's very poor. I only get about 12 miles per gallon city and maybe 21 miles per gallon highway. And the tank size is either 15.9 gallons or 16.9 gallons depending on your model and year, with the 16.9 gallon tank starting in 2009. So there's a couple different models of the RX-8. First is this model. This model is the base. It doesn't have a sunroof, it's just the base sport model. It comes in the 6-speed manual and the 4-speed automatic. The other models are the Grand Touring, the GT, and what that has is a sunroof and a couple other goodies. The last model came out in 2009, that's the R3. It's got different wheels, a different front bumper, it's more track ready, it's got different seats, it's more track ready RX-8. The R3 has a Series 2 engine, which is different than the Series 1 engine found in the Sport model and in the other model, the Grand Touring. So we're going to go over the difference between the Series 1 type engines, the 4-port and the 6-port next. Alright, so the difference between the Series 1 engines is the 4-port and the 6-port. So in all 6-speed manual transmission engines, the 6-port engine is found. That has 2 extra intake ports and puts out the high power, which is 232 brake horsepower. The 4-ports only produce just under 200 horsepower, so a little bit less. The 4-port engines are found in the 4-speed automatics years 2004 to 2005 in North America, and years 2004 all the way to 2008 in Europe. 2009 on is a Series 2 engine, which produces the high power of 232 brake horsepower. Another difference between the automatic and the manual cars is the manual cars have a red line at 9,000 RPM, while the automatics are limited to 7,500 RPM, which is a little bit lower. So if you're debating whether auto or manual, just get the manual. It's so much better. So now that you know about this RX-8, here's some tips to keep it running happy and healthy. First, you're going to need to do an oil change, a full oil change and filter change at around 2,000 to 3,000 miles on this car. And also with the design of this engine, it injects oil into the combustion chamber. So you need to check your oil every week to make sure you're not running low because it burns it. The type of oil you use is also important, and it depends on your climate. I'm going to include a little chart that's found in your owner's manual in this video, so you'll be able to see what type of oil to use depending on your climate. I use 10W40 oil in the winter and 15W40 oil in the summer. The next thing we're going to talk about is pre-mixing two-stroke oil into your gas tank. So you should always carry oil with you in your trunk, but it's also a good idea to carry a two-stroke oil to pre-mix. So what you do with this is you pour it into your gas tank before you add your gas. I had about 8 ounces for a full tank, but it's debatable on how you drive your RX8 and some other conditions. So what premixing does is it lubricates your apex seals because these RX8 engines are only injecting about half the amount as the older engines. So it's really important to premix. It'll keep your apex seals running stronger and your engine a lot happier and healthier. So there's different ratios you can premix. I do the 8 ounce for a full tank. Some people do 4 ounce for a full tank. So my car is decat. I have a mid pipe, so there's no worry on clogging the catalytic converter with the oil. So I premix 8 ounces of oil for a full tank. If you do keep your cat, I'd probably recommend only 4 ounces of oil for your full tank because that'll keep your cat from clogging up. So another important thing is to make sure your engine does not overheat. When it gets hot out and you drive hard, your engine can see temperatures upwards of 220 degrees. If you ever see your oil temp get to 220 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 105 degrees Celsius, turn off your engine and let it cool off. I also have cooling relays for sale, which will activate your radiator fans early. I'll have a link in the description where you can buy those. So it's also important to have aftermarket gauges for this reason, so you can monitor your oil and water temp to make sure you don't overheat. So the next important thing is to make sure your RX8 is warmed up before you drive it. There's 2 methods of doing this. First is letting it idle. So you can let it idle for about 10 minutes and then start driving it. The next method is the short shifting method. Both of these methods I've gone through in different videos on my channel, so feel free to check those out. The short shifting method is when you wait for your idle to levelize in about 2 minutes, and then you drive and shift below 3,000 RPM to make sure you don't strain your motor and wait for your fluids to get all warmed up before you drive. So you know about the RX8 and you're looking to buy one. So how many miles should you see on an RX8 that you want to buy? I would recommend under 60,000 miles because these engines can go bad pretty soon, especially if they're not taken care of by the previous owner. Mazda has a warranty on these engines for 80,000 miles, so if you lose compression before then, Mazda will rebuild it under warranty. If you see an RX8 for sale with over 100,000 miles, you're just going to be careful. The engine could still be healthy, but it depends on how the previous owner took care of the car. So if they abused it, it's probably going to lose compression. So it's always a good idea to get a compression test before you buy your RX8. So the last thing you're going to want to know about is probably mods, because that's why we're all here. So the first mod I recommend would be tires, of course, because that's your contact to the road. These tires are Pirelli P0 Nero tires, and they work pretty well. They're pretty sticky, and I get good grip with them. So if you want to upgrade your car, the first thing is always tires. They're so important. I cannot stress this enough. Another mod that's just great is dropping it on coilovers. So I have some JIC 15-way adjustable coilovers. It stiffens it up. You get lower center of gravity. Your chassis is a little stiffer. Your suspension's just better. You know, you're going to be able to handle corners faster, and it just makes the driving experience so much better. Another thing I would recommend is the Cobb access port. That's an ECU tune. You just plug it in, upload a tune. It gives your car some more pep. I have a Mazda Maniac tune on mine, and it just makes your car a lot more fun to drive. So another great mod for this car is an exhaust. You can do a catback and a mid-pipe. I have both a catback and a mid-pipe. I have videos on those both. But the exhaust, it gives it more throttle response. It just sounds better, and it just gives it a better driving experience. So I have Racing Beat catback and mid-pipe. I have a dual resonator mid-pipe, and it's a good tone. It's not too loud, but it's loud enough that you're going to hear your car, and it makes it fun when accelerating around a corner. So the last mod I would recommend is a lightweight flywheel for starters. This flywheel is going to allow you to accelerate faster out of turns, and it gives it it gives the car a much better driving experience. So a lightweight flywheel also, when you're downshifting or rev matching, it's going to make that a lot easier too, and it just makes the car quicker in tight turns and a lot more fun to drive. So that's all you really need to know about the Mazda RX8 if you're looking to buy one. And it may seem intimidating at first, but it's really not that bad, and it is completely worth it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and consider subscribing. And I hope you guys learned something. I'll see you in the next video.
Let this